Welcome back. We've just done our first contribution, which wasn't that crazy, right? We just went to the Start Here guideline and added our names to the contributors list. But let's actually contribute to an open source project now. Now, in our community, every month we do coding challenges. Now, you can search for coding challenges here, but this month is a special event because we're actually doing a Hacktoberfest event. And this happens once a year in our community in October. And you can see that if we click on the Hacktoberfest 2019 link, so depending on when you watch this, you might have a different year. You see that we've provided for you an opportunity to contribute to an open source project. We actually have Animation Nation, we have a Sanctified project, and also a Python project. And you can contribute to any one of these. So if we look at Animation Nation, well, people have contributed their CSS animations here. Ooh, this one looks nice. We also have the Sanctified project. So people have created a little Santa website. That's kind of nice. Very, very cool. And then we also have the Python art project that actually does something really cool. If I go to the website here, it'll actually turn an image into ASCII art, which is really, really cool. Now, there's tons of projects that you can do, but let's try and do this Animation Nation project. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the project repository and follow the steps that we've done before. That is, we fork the repository. We now clone this repository. Let's git clone. And while that is being cloned, let's look at the instructions. Now, most open source projects will have instructions on how you can contribute. In our case, we have a nice step-by-step guide. So in the art directory, create a directory name after yourself. Okay, that's nice and easy to do. So let's cd into the Animation Nation project. Let's open it up in Sublime. And we see that there's an art folder. And in here, we have to create our own name or our own folder with our name. I've actually already created a folder called Animatron that has a little CSS art project with index.html and CSS. So just to show you, let's move this. Or just to show you, this is my little animation using some simple index.html and CSS. Nothing too crazy. Now, all we need to do is move this into the art folder as the instructions have given us. And now we've added our project. Let's see, where's Animatron? There it is. That's my project over there. Next is to, well, within this folder, make sure we create two files, an HTML file and a CSS file, and link the CSS file to your HTML. Using only HTML and CSS, create a work of art. So I've actually already done that. Again, if we go back to the project, I have an index.html file, very, very simple, that's linked to a style sheet. And this is my styles that I've added for my animation that has these little lines. Now, the last part here is to add my own card to this section, to the include.js file. So let's just copy this, go to the includes or include.js, and you see this is where everybody enters their information. And right here, we can just add what we copy and pasted, make sure the indentation is proper. So the art name is going to be called Animatron. Page link is going to be, well, the name of our folder, so Animatron index.html. And then the GIF name, which they suggested that we include a GIF. So if I remember correctly, the GIF name was trans.gif. Again, I just created a little GIF of my animation. So we'll call it trans.gif. Author is ANDREI, and the GitHub link is my GitHub link. All right, so that should be good. Let's now make a pull request. Now, notice here how I did all these changes on master. Ideally, we created these changes on a new branch. So we can actually just do that now. Git checkout B and call it Animatron. So if I do git status now, I see that I have two changes. That's good. Let's do git add, git commit, adding my artsiness to the project. And then finally, git push origin Animatron. All right, if we go back to the project, we see that we actually now have a little icon that says compare pull request. If I go back to the forked repo, 0 to mastery, you see right over here that I also have this yellow banner. So if I click on this and say, please add me to this list, and we'll link to, this is Joy, who's one of the managers. So I'm just going to say, please add me to the list. We actually don't even need to tag her because she will check this occasionally. So I'm going to create a pull request. It's now opened. That's awesome. So please add me to the list. If I look at my file changes, you can see that these are what I've added to the project. So if I now merge pull request, again, you won't be able to do this, but some of our management team, people who are managing the open source projects, will be able to merge for you. We can delete the branch since we have merged everything. And now let's see if the changes have been made. If I go to the 0 to mastery Animation Nation. So if I now look for my project, hey, look at that. There's my little Animatron project that, well, there it is. There's my CSS. That's beautiful. Now, the way this project is designed, it randomly selects the CSS animation. So it might not show all of them at the same time. So you might have to refresh this a few times. But just like that, I made my open source contribution. Now, there's a ton of projects here that you can join. And like I said, this is a playground for you to test, make mistakes, because this isn't a real workplace. We want to practice these skills before we actually go into work and make big, dangerous changes. And that's open source. I highly, highly recommend that you get involved. It's a great way to work with others. It's a great way to learn how Git and GitHub really work. There's no doubt that there's a lot that an individual programmer can do. However, the progress and scale that something can be built is really compounded when many people work on something together. Go make your first open source contribution and have fun building things with your fellow programmers. It may one day lead you to impress a potential employer. See you in the next one. Now, most open source projects will have instructions on how you can contribute. Now, most clone. And while that is being cloned, let's look at the instructions. Nation project. Let's open it up in Sublime. And we see that there's an art folder. And in here, we have to create our own name or our own folder with our name. I've actually already created a folder called Animatron that has my styles that I've added for my animation that has these little lines. Now, the last part here is to add my own card to this section, to the include.js file. So let's just copy this, which is on master. Push origin animatron.